So after hearing this question, first of all, Vyasdev is narrating that how Sut Goswami felt so satisfied uh, by these questions asked by sages of Naimisharanya. Why? Because these questions are related to Lord Krishna. That was the reason that he felt so satisfied. And because it's related to Krishna, it is going to satisfy both speaker and audience. After being satisfied, he offered his obeisances to his spiritual master Sukdev Goswami, son of Vyasdev. Later on, in the 1.2.4, he expressed his obeisance to Narayan Rishi, then Saraswati Devi, and then he offered the obeisances to Vyasdev. Then he glorifies the sages of Naimisharanya, saying that whatever question you have asked, they are great questions because they are related to Krishna. And because these questions are related to Krishna, they are going to purify them. They are the ultimate good for them. So then in 1.2.6 and 1.2.7, he answered the first two questions which were asked by the sages of Naimisharanya. So what were those questions? That what is the ultimate and absolute good for people in general? Second question is that what is the essence of all the scripture? So there he says, Tavya Pumsa Paro Dharma, Yato Bhakti Radoksaji, Yatutiya Pratihata, Yatma Suprasiddhati. What is the highest religion for people in general? Is that devotional service to the Adokshaja. And that devotional service should be ahetuki, without any material motive and without any interruption. And then he says that this devotional service, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Pravijate, Janati Asu Vairagya, Jnanam Cha Yad Hetukam. So if someone performs devotional service to Supreme Personality of Godhead, the son of Vasudeva, then what will happen? There are two byproducts, which are those Jnana and Vairagya. Knowledge and renunciation will automatically be developed. So that's what we discussed. What is the byproducts of bhakti? That knowledge and renunciation are the byproduct of bhakti. It's not that to attain bhakti, we need to acquire knowledge. We can see the example that uh, gopis of Vrajavasis of Vrindavan, of course, they were not so much knowledgeable. They had not undergone the training of that going to Gurukul and learning under the guidance of Guru. They had not gone through all those things. So they were not so knowledgeable. But we can see that how they were so much exalted. And we yesterday also saw that how in the verse chapter 15, 20, Krishna says that someone knows Krishna, he knows everything. So that is the conclusion. So if someone knows that if someone has surrendered to Lord Krishna, then what will happen? That he knows everything. If he has accepted Krishna as everything, that means he knows everything. So that's what we discussed. And regarding renunciation, I can give another example. So of course, Bhagavatam is full of such an example that there were some sages of there were some brahmanas, they were performing so many sacrifice in the outskirt of Vrindavan. And when Lord Krishna sent cowherd boys to collect some food for them, they didn't give. But when Lord Krishna afterwards, when he sent cowherd boys to wives of Brahmana, although they were not so much learned in the Veda, but as soon as they heard about Krishna and Balram, they have just heard about Krishna and Balram from the people who were coming from, of course, from their husband and people who were coming from Vrindavan and all. They heard about Krishna and Balram. They knew what kind of personality they were. So although they had not read the Veda, they had not undergone the hearing process of Veda, but when they heard about Krishna and Balram, what happened? They were ready to give the edibles. So here, this is another example that how, of course, that these wives of Brahmana were not so much learned, but what happened? That they develop a bhakti by offering service to Krishna. Okay. So that means jnana and vairagya are the byproduct of bhakti. It's not that bhakti is the byproduct of jnana and vairagya. So hope it is clear. So of course we will continue today. So how bhakti is essence of all Vedic scripture. Why bhakti is essence of all Vedic scripture, and why bhakti is the ultimate and absolute good for people in general. So, so the Goswami is explaining in subsequent verses from verse number 8. So in verse number 7, we saw Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janati Asu Vairagya Jnanam Cha Yad Hetutam. Knowledge and detachment are the byproduct of bhakti. So that's what we learn in verse number 1.2.7. So we'll move ahead from here today. So in 1.2.8, Krishna says that, sorry, Sutta Goswami says, Dharma svanutishtasya pumsam visvakshena kathasuya na utpadyat yadi ratim srameva hi kevalam. The occupational activities a man perform according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. So why this process of devotional service is very, very important? Uh, if some, let's say we are performing any other activity, there are so many people, they are very patriotic, okay, and patriotic, and there are so many people, they are so Matru Bhakta, Pitru Bhakta, then of course they are great demigod worshippers, they are great scientists, they are great historian. Okay, some people may be so wealthy, everything is there. But if all those activities, let's say there were a Brahmana just some time before we discuss about them, right? They were performing yajna, but when Krishna and Balram requested through the cowherd boys to give them some edibles, what happened? They didn't give. So if whatever activity people are performing and those activities are not developing the attraction for the message of personality of Godhead or attraction for the Lord Krishna, then what is the thing? That it is like an useless labor. Okay. They are just srameva hi kevalam. They are just useless labor. So purpose of any activity which we perform is what? To attain the attraction for the message of love of Godhead, for personality of Godhead, message of personality of Godhead. So that should be there. So if there are some activities which are not helping us to gain the attraction for the message of Lord Krishna, then they are useless labor. So hope I have mentioned in I think third class or somewhere that there is a secret that it is mentioned in Padma Puran. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes, I don't know exactly which Puran, but he quotes from some Puran in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that okay. He says, Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu, Vismartavyam Jatushis, Sarve Vidhi Nisedasvayo, Itayoreva Kinkara. So always remember Vishnu, never forget Vishnu, and all the rules and regulations are made for these two purposes. They are the servant, all the rules and regulations are servant of these two purposes. So so that's why now whatever activities we are doing, so ultimately they should attract us for the devotional service of the Lord Krishna. So that is very, very important. That's why Sutta Goswami is mentioning that any occupational duty. So here occupational activities are occupational activities means okay, as per the Shastra, there are four Varna and four ashramas. Which are those four Varnas? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So these are on the material level. And there are spiritual level, there are another division, four division, which is Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanprastha, and Sannyasi. So purpose of all this occupational activities. Dharma, here occupation means uh, these are still on the material platform. These are the stepping stone for devotional service. These occupational duty are not it's not considered on the transcendental level, but these will help us to attain the devotional service. These are the stepping stone for devotional service that we discuss in the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in our Bhagavad Gita course. So purpose of all the activities, whichever activity we perform, what is the purpose? That we should get the attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead, or what we should get the attraction for the devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. So this is the ultimate aim of whatever activity we perform. Okay. So then he says in the next verse that धर्मस्य हि अपवर्गस्य न अर्थो अर्थाय उपकल्पते न अर्थस्य धर्मेकान्तस्य कामलाभाय हि स्मृता. So all occupational engagement are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. So whatever activities, like occupation means varnashram dharma. The purpose of varnashram dharma is that to help the living entities to gradually elevate to the uh, platform of transcendental, sorry, to the transcendental platform, which is called liberation, ultimate liberation. So there are five kind of liberation: Sahyujya, Samipya, Sarupya, Sashti, and Salokya. Okay, so we don't expect one liberation that is called, we don't desire one liberation that is called Sahyujya Mukti, that is becoming one with the Supreme Lord. So we don't desire that. So, but whatever occupational duty, so what is the purpose? That is ultimate liberation. So what is the ultimate liberation if someone is continuously hearing the Krishna Katha? So we have seen in Bhagavad Gita, and of course in many times we have discussed in many other courses that if someone is completely absorbed in the devotional service of Lord Krishna, then what happened that is liberated within this material body itself. Okay. This transcendental within this body. So what is the point here? All occupational engagement are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. Means that is indirectly talking about the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what he says next, they should never be performed for material gain. So it's very, very important. Dharmasya hi apavargasya. Apavargasya means ultimate liberation. So in Shastra, apa, so there are pavarga. So pavarga means if you see ka, kha, gha, bha, bha, ma, so there it is come pa, pha, bha, bha, and ma. So these are called pavarga. So when we are in the material world, we go through this pavarga, which are those pa means parisram. We do lot of parisram, hard work. For what we don't know. Okay. Some hard parishram, pa, pa. So if we do lot of parishram, then what will happen? Then the form will come out from our mouth. Fen, it is called fen. Okay, in Sanskrit or Hindi, it is called fena. Pa, pa. Then, although we are doing lot of hard work, lot of form is coming out for parishram, then fen, then what is that? Third is bekari. We do a lot of hard work, but still struggle to earn money and so many other ways. And if you so that is called, or not only bekar that way, but whatever we do, that will become bekar. So that is called ba. Bekar means it's become useless. Okay. So that is called pa, pa, ba, pa. Then if you do something, then we are always in the bhaya stage, or we are always scared to lose something, maybe physically, mentally, or emotionally, or intellectual level. We are in bhaya. Okay. We are always in that stage. Then end of the day, ma means mrityu. So Shastra talk about, so if we are living in this material world, so these five things are always going to be there if we are not engaged in the devotional service. Which are those? Pa means parisram, fa means form, fan, Ba means bekar, means vyartha, everything we do become useless. Bha means bhaya, and ma means mrityu. So this is the signs, symptoms of material existence. Pa varga. So when we say apavarga, means you are free from this pavarga. Okay, this particular word, he apavargasya. Dharma hi apavargasya. So purpose of dharma is to free from this apavarga. Of course. Okay, apavarga means to attain, and how we can be free from apavarga? By devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then what he says, na artho arthai upakalpate. They should never be performed for material gain. Na artha. Okay. So it should not be performed for the material gain. Then it says, na arthasya dharma ekantasya means, furthermore, according to says, one who engage in the ultimate occupational service to never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Kamo lobhaya, labhaya is smrita. So use, huh. So ultimate occupation should not be utilized for material gain. Okay. For or material gain to cultivate sense gratification. So purpose of occupational duty should is only meant for attain the liberation. Okay, and it should never be, and there should not be any other material purpose. And according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain for sense gratification. So when you perform your occupational duty nicely, then what will happen? You get uh, s- uh, you get pious credits in your life. So as soon as you have pious credit, that means you get high birth, high parentage, then good knowledge, beauty, then wealth. All those things you'll automatically get when you attain pious credits. So when you get all those things by pious credit, you will get material gain. But material gain should never be used for sense gratification. So ultimately, the occupational duties or our own, there are two kind of duty: constitutional duty and conditional duty. Constitutional duty means our duty is for soul, just like doing a bhakti is duty for soul, and uh, conditional duty means activities which we should perform as per our bodily condition. Let's say someone is a tendency for kshatriya, then their occupational duty is to act as a kshatriya. If someone has a tendency guna and karma as like brahmana, then their occupational duty is to be brahmana. So these should never be utilized for material gain. Their ultimate purpose is what? Liberation. Okay. And even if you get material gain by doing, of course, we are going to get material gain. Why? Because when you perform your occupational duty nicely, you will get those things. But this material gain should never be used for sense gratification. So ultimately, it should mean for bhakti only. Okay. So in next verse, it is said, कामस्यदिन्द्रिय प्रीतिर लाभो जीवित यावत जीवस्य तत्व जिज्ञासा न अर्थो यश्चेहम कर्म भी. So it says that life's desire should never be directed towards the sense gratification. Okay. So kamasya indriya priti means life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. So in our life, try, we should never desire for sense gratification. Then what if we should never desire for sense gratification? Then what we should desire? So that is mentioned in the next slide. Jivas labo jivita yavata means one should desire only healthy life or self-preservation. Labo jivita yavata means one should desire only healthy life or self-preservation. Now, why? Because this human life, jivasya tattva jigyasa, life is meant for inquiry about tattva jigyasa, absolute truth. Tattva means truth, and purpose of life is to inquiry about Jigyasa means inquiry. The purpose of life is to inquire about absolute truth. So purpose of life is not meant for sense gratification. It is meant for inquiry about absolute truth. Then he says, "Na artho yes chaha karma bihi." Nothing else should be the goal of one's work. One's work should be goal of one's work should always be inquiry about absolute truth. Okay. So when we inquire about absolute truth, then we'll understand. So that's what sages of Nemisaran inquired. What is the absolute and ultimate good for people in general? What is the essence of all the scripture? So, so he said devotional service is the essence of all the Vedic scripture, and they are ultimate and absolute goal of human life. So good for the people in general. So that's why he says that nothing else should be the goal of one's work. This should be the only one. So he's explaining so nicely. In the next verse, he says that so how one can understand that absolute truth. So how tattva jigyasa, how in last verse we saw that jivasya tattva jigyasa. One should inquire about the absolute truth. And how can the absolute truth be understood? So that is mentioned in this verse. He says, Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yadgyanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwan iti sabdet. So absolute truth means who? Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna is the absolute truth. Okay. So how? So Vadanti tat tattva vidas. So in previous verse, if you say Jivasya tattva jigyasa. So there it is spoken about tattva. So vadanti tat tattva vidas. Tattvam yad jnanam advayam. So one who learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagwan. So this absolute truth can be understood at three different levels. Which are those three different levels? So we have discussed this many times. That okay, like absolute truth means supreme personality of Godhead. So someone, let's say there is the sun in the sky. So there are three different level of understanding. I'm sitting inside the room and I can just see the sun rays. We have discussed during our Bhagavad Gita course this part in the second chapter, verse number 2. There we have discussed about Bhagwan. How can we understand Bhagwan? So Bhagwan can be understood at three levels: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So Brahman means what? Let's say there is a sun in the sky and you are sitting in the room. What you can see, you can just see the sunlight. But when you go outside and you see the sun, so you can find that sun is like a disk. Okay. So everyone, when they see towards the sun, they think that sun is on my head. No one else on. Everyone means my head. Everyone think that sun is on their own head. And third is when you go on the sun planet. Now, someone may ask the question. The scientists say we cannot. No one has reached the sun planet, right? Abhi tak, no. I think so, sometime before India has launched Chandrayaan 3, and they wanted to, they have launched that vehicle which land on the surface of moon. So still, um, they are struggling, and there is NASA. There is a team of 4 people, one lady, and there are one doctor, one other commander, and all. So they have been put in the Mars emulator chamber. So they will be kept there for 1 year and they will be living a life, how they will sustain on the Mars. Still, no, they have made that emulator and that they are being observed that how they will sustain. So don't think that Shastra says there is a life on the sun planet, moon planet, Chandra. So they have a life. There is a life. If we can't understand, if we can't accept, then it is our own problem. If scientists cannot see, it is their imperfect senses. Because of that, they cannot see. Okay. So now when you go to sun planet, there, as per the Shastra, you'll find the predominating deity of the sun planet. It is called Surya Dev. At present, who is the predominating deity? Surya Dev. Vyasvan is the predominating deity. He's just like a prime minister is a post. Surya Dev is also a post. So when you go there, you'll find the personality. Okay. So same way here, there are three phases. One, you are seeing sunlight. Second is you are seeing the sun surface on your head. Third is that when we go to moon, sun planet, we find the sun god. So that is the third. So same way we can understand Bhagwan in three phases. Just like a seeing a sun rays means Brahman. Everyone think that, oh, Krishna has no form. Okay. So they see he is just like a light, source of light. So there are some people they believe in the God. There are some people they don't believe in the God. But there are some people who believe in the God. They say that sun is like a light. He has no form. And those who say that sun has no form, out of them some believe that we we also have no form, but we ourselves are God. So there are first category, they think that God has no form. So that is called Brahman. Not Brahman, not Brahma, it's a Brahman. Brahman. Brahman, Brahma Janati iti Brahman. The one who knows Brahman is known as Brahman. Okay. So that is these are the first level of people, not first class, first level of people. Second is someone sees, those who are performing meditation and all, just like they are seeing that sun disk is on their own head. Okay, so there are some people they when they meditate they see the God within their heart as in the form of Paramatma. Okay, so they think that there is no other form of the Lord beyond this one. There is no external form. Lord is within our heart only. So those who are seeing the sun's surface, sun disk are of this level. So Paramatmavadis are this level. So these are called Paramatmavadi. We just think that Krishna stays within our heart. It has no separate external existence. But when we will go through the chapter how Lord Krishna saved Parikshit Maharaj in the first canto itself, so there will understand that how when Aswathama has released the Brahmastra to kill the last uh, son, no, last son of the Pandavas, who was that Parikshit Maharaj. So to kill him, he released the Brahmastra. So now so, Uttara was running and coming towards Lord Krishna and she is praying to Lord Krishna. "Oh Lord, you are my ultimate shelter. Please protect me. I am not praying you to protect me, but at least save my womb. The child is within my womb, so please protect it. My womb is already burning." So then Lord Krishna, what he does, he stays as a Paramatma within the heart, not only in the heart, but as each and every atom. So as a in his Paramatma form, he dismissed the Brahmastra within the womb of Uttara. But simultaneously he was outside with Pandavas. When he went inside, when he was protecting Parikshit Maharaj inside the womb of Uttara, it's not that Pandavas could not see Krishna. Krishna was present there. So there are some people they think that Krishna is only Paramatma form within the heart. He has no external form. So they are called Paramatmavadi, second level, Brahmeti Paramatmeti. And there are third level of category, highest level. So they have Bhagwan realization. They think that okay, there is a Bhagwan. So Bhagwan, so when you realize Bhagwan, all other two aspects belong to Bhagwan. Just like how when you see the mountain from far distance, you see it's just green, green, green. When you come closer, you see there are some different trees. Okay, when you enter inside, then you can notice the varieties. Okay, so when you are seeing the mountain from far distance, so what is there? Brahman is there. And when you come near, then you find the varieties. So within the Bhagwan, when you see just like if you are seeing some person from far distance, how will it look? Some point or something like that. Suppose you are flying in the flight, then you sit down, then person will look like a dot. just like a race. But when you come closer, you find the person. So that person has aspect of Brahman, race. So Bhagwan has also aspect of Brahman. He also has aspect of Paramatma. So within the Bhagwan, both the aspects are there. Which one? Brahman and Paramatma. In Paramatma, Brahman aspect is also there. Okay. So that way, in three level, people understand the God. In the beginning level, it is Brahman. Second level, it is Paramatma, and third level, it is Bhagwan. So that way, Lord can be understood. Okay. So in the next verse, he says, तत्श्रद्धा मुनयो ज्ञान वैराग्य युक्तया पश्यन्ति आत्मनि च आत्मानं भक्त्या गृहीतया. He says, the seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with the knowledge and detachment, realize that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what we has heard from the Vedanta Suti. Now you may question. In the verse number 7, we had heard that Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Praisiti. Janati Asu Vairagya Jnanam Cha Yad Hetutam. So ultimate goal of all the human life, all the living entities, performing a devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by that devotional service, Jnana and Vairagya will automatically be developed. They are byproducts of bhakti. Jnana and Vairagya are the byproduct of bhakti. So then why this verse, Shruti Goswami is speaking contradictory? Does it not look like a contradictory? That seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with the knowledge and detachment, realize that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in in terms of what he has heard from the Vedanta Shruti. So of course, what Sud Goswami said in the verse number 7 is not wrong. It is perfect. That knowledge and vairagya are the byproduct. Okay? But if someone is equipped with the knowledge and detachment, okay, and he's just serious enough. The purpose of knowledge, just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, verse number 16, there are four kind of people approach Lord Krishna. Which are those? Chaturvida bhajante mam, jana sukrutino arjuno, artho arthati jigyasu, artho arthati jigyasu jnani. Okay. So he says that Artho, one who is in difficulty, he approached the Lord Krishna. Arthati, one who is in the need of money, he approached Krishna. One is inquisitive, but he doesn't want to implement this in his life. Okay. So he also approached Lord Krishna. And Jnani, he wants to implement the knowledge in his life. And he wants to realize the Supreme Lord. Those are called Jnani. So in the next, after few verses, in the next two verses, Krishna says, out of all those four, Jnani is the best. But in the Jnani also, what he says in the 19th verse, Vasudeva Bhagavat, sorry, what is that? Bhunam Janmana Mante Jnanman Mam Prapadyate Vasudevam Sarvam Iti Samahatma Sudurlabha. Bhunam Janmana Mante, after so many births, Bhunam Janmana Mante Jnanman Mam Prapadyate. One who is knowledgeable, he surrender into Krishna. Vasudevam Sarvam Iti. And if someone realizes Vasudeva, Lord Krishna is everything, Samahatma Durlabha. This kind of finding such a soul is rare. Lord Krishna says that. So when we are trying performing bhakti, so that directly performing bhakti will automatically put us on the stage of knowledge and detachment. But if you are knowledgeable and if you are acquiring knowledge and if you are trying to practice detachment, we can't give a guarantee how much time will you take to attain the devotional service. How much time you take to understand that Vasudevam Sarvam iti Vasudevam Sarvam iti Samahatma Durlabha. Bahunam Janmana Mante Jnanvam Mam Prapadyate. So it may take many births to understand that Krishna is everything. It may take long time. But as soon as you start performing bhakti, Jnana and Vairagya will automatically develop. But when you are just performing detachment and knowledge, that is called ascending process. That you are trying to understand Krishna from uh, your senses, by your mind and senses or intelligence. It's not necessary that you come to the right conclusion. So you may take many births. Okay, but of course that path also ultimately it may take long time, but mm, if you have heard it properly from Veda, it will lead to bhakti, devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why this verse is spoken. So this verse number 7 and verse number 12 are not contradictory. Both are right, correct at the respective places. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realize that absolute truth by rendering devotional service in terms of what he has heard from Vedanta Shruti. So he has to perform devotional service not whimsically, but as mentioned in the Veda. Okay, so there are so many things mentioned in the Veda. Then how we'll realize that? So there are so many medicine in the medical store. Now, which medicine is helpful for you? So will you go to medical store and will you take any medicine? No. First of all, you approach a doctor. Then doctor will prescribe which medicine you need to take out of from medical store. So same way, there are so many instructions in Veda. So which instruction we should follow? So that's why we need to approach Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Three should be there. The three should simultaneously be existing. Okay. But Guru and Sadhu should be definitely Guru and Sadhu's instruction should be based on Shastra. That's very important. Okay. So in the next verse, he says, I will take this one more verse and then I will complete. So then he says here that that's why Athapum Vidya Shrestha Varnasam Vibhagasha Samsid Swanutishta Siddharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. So which is the most important verse here? Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. I think it is understood. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. So whatever activity you are doing, that should be pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why he says, oh, based among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that highest perfection one can achieve by discharging the duties prescribed for one's own occupation according to caste and division. Caste, division, and order of life is to please the personality of Godhead. So whatever activity we do, no, even the dharma, conditional duty is also meant for constitutional. Conditional duty is meant to direct you towards the constitutional duty, which is the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead should be meant for the pleasure of Supreme Lord, not for our own pleasure. Okay. So hope this is so that's why Shuddha Goswami mentioned that what is the ultimate and absolute good for people in general? That is the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the essence of all the Vedic scripture? That is also the devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he says in next verse that तस्मात् एकेन मनसा भगवान सात्वतां पति श्रोतव्य कृति श्रोतव्यस्य ध्येय पूज्यस्य नित्यदा. So therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is the protector of the devotee. So this is the ultimate and absolute good, and this is the essence of all the scripture. Therefore, this one pointed attention. What is that? Tasmat ekena mansa. This is very important word. Ekena mansa, one pointed attention. Okay. Bhagwan Satota Patihi. One should constantly hear about. Anyway, I have not taken on Wednesday, so 5 minutes I'll take more. So at least, I can complete till verse number 15. So after 16, there will be some different topic. Of course, that will be in relation to this only. But There are some series of verses which I would like to complete. So he says, Satvatam Pati. Satvatam means devotees, and Pati means protector of the devotees. So Satvatam Pati means the supreme, who is the protector of the devotee, the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay. So Shrotavya, Kirtitavyasya, Dhyaya, Pujyasya, Nityada. Nityada is another important word. Always, constantly. Okay. So he says, therefore, with one pointed attention, one should constantly hear about, glorify, remember, and worship the personality of Godhead, who is protector of the devotees. So that is what Prahlad Maharaj will tell in Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, when Hiranyakashipu is asking Prahlad Maharaj, what is the best thing you have learned? Then Prahlad Maharaj says that Sravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakshamatma Nivedanam. One should hear and chant the name and glories of Lord Krishna. Then one should remember, so glorify, hear, remember, then Archanam, then worship. So these four principles are mentioned here. Okay, so then in next verse it says that यद 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 अनुध्यासीन sorry यद अनुध्यासीन युक्तः कर्म ग्रंथि निबंधनम छिन्दन्ति को विदस्तस्य को न कुर्यात् तथा रतिम. कोविद के बारे में तो आई थिंक भागवतम में बता दिया है. कोविद anyway, so he says that with sword in the hand, intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary work karma by remembering the personality of Godhead. So with sword in hand, what intelligent men cut through the binding knots of reactionary works. So how can, in Bhagavad Gita we have discussed many times. I think almost every chapter except first chapter, either in the beginning, either in the end, or either in the beginning or end or middle. Most of the time, the end, Krishna tells, perform bhakti that will help you to get rid of from the binding material bondage. He tells, right? So here he says, if you want to, and why we are in the bondage of material existence? Because of our pious karma or path karma. So we need to perform a karma that is called bhakti. It doesn't lead you to bondage of birth. That is called akarma bhakti. So that's why here it is said with sword in the head, with knowledge. Sword in the hand means okay. Intelligent man cut through the binding knots of reactionary work by remembering the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not pay attention to his message? Only fool cannot pay the attention to his message. So what is the ultimate and absolute good? That is a devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And how the devotional service begin? By Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. These are the 9 processes of devotional service. And by this word, what we have to do? We have to cut the knots of binding of the reactionary work. So this is the only way. And even it is said in Brahma Samhita, Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajam govindam adi purusam tamham bhajami. Even Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, fourth chapter, verse number 19, that he says, one who is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for self gratification. This is same we learn today, right? He is said by the sages to be a worker for whom the reaction of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. So when we know this thing, we glorify here, what will happen? We'll be freed from the binding work. Then again he says in the verse number 37, as a blazing fire turn firewood to ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reaction to material activity. Okay, fire of knowledge. Which knowledge? Transcendental knowledge, knowledge about Krishna. So that is the That's why Sud Goswami mentioned here that our goal should be what? That uh, we should always remember, glorify, hear, and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so thank you very much. Uh, so we'll continue verse number 16 onward on Monday. No class on Saturday, Sunday. So thank you very, very much. If you have any question, comment, feedback, you can unmute yourself and ask the question. First, you ask the question based